What is going on, Raptors Nation? It is Luca here. Raptors basketball is back. This is our first live stream of the season as the Toronto Raptors defeat the Sacramento Kings 112 to 99 as the Raptors open up their preseason with a W. And I got to tell you guys, I haven't had this much fun watching a Raptors game in a very long time. And I know it's just the preseason, and I'm not going to overreact too much to what I saw, but it was good. It was pretty darn good to see the Raptors play the way that they played and to see some of the players shine the way that they shine. So we are going to talk about this game. Please hit a like here in the thumbnail. Subscribe to the channel, Raptors Nation, for all things Toronto Raptors. We got you covered after every single game this season. You guys may know me from my personal channel, Luca Rosano. All of my Raptor game recaps are going to be on this channel. So you definitely don't talking Raptors hoops. But yeah, I mean, the Toronto Raptors, they couldn't have started their preseason any better than the way that they did. There was great anticipation of how the Raptors were going to look, how the ball was going to move, how their offense was going to look, how their defense was going to look. And I mean, from start to finish, the Raptors delivered and the Raptors played as well as you could have wanted. So the first main thing in this game was the Raptors starting lineup. There was anticipation about who the Raptors were going to roll out 1 through 5, and the Raptors indeed started Dennis Schroder as their point guard. It was Dennis Schroder, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, and Jakob Poeltl. So this was the 5 for the Raptors, which meant Gary Trent Jr. was going to be the first guy from off the bench. So let's start there with Gary Trent Jr. As Toronto 416, welcome to the stream. He says, Scotty Barnes on a mission this year. We are going to get to Scotty Barnes, believe me, because I agree with you wholeheartedly. But what I want to say about Gary Trent Jr. is I know there's a fair share of fans out there that are upset about Gary Trent Jr. not starting. And some of us envisioned, I know I envisioned at one point, a starting lineup of Scotty Barnes running the point with Gary Trent Jr. But after Schroder had the type of summer he had with Germany, and then Darko came out and said some of the things that he said. He expected a big year from Dennis. You got the feeling that Dennis was going to start. And even in the inter-squad game, I did a video on this the other day, Dennis started. So I wasn't surprised that this was indeed the starting lineup. And what I will say is this, even though Gary Trent Jr. is not a starter, and in all likelihood, he is going to be this team's sixth man moving forward, Gary Trent Jr. has an opportunity to be a very good weapon, a very great weapon. I'm going to use great here for the Toronto Raptors because we saw it in this first preseason game, the type of weapon he can be. The first guy from off the bench, the sixth man. Gary Trent Jr. led the way. 22 points. He was solid. He found his offense. And this is what the Raptors need this season. They need Gary Trent Jr. to inject instant offense, come in, hit threes, hit his shots. And Gary Trent Jr. has sixth man of the year potential, in my opinion, especially if he can play like this. So I really liked what I saw from Gary Trent Jr. Even though he didn't start, his confidence didn't look rattled. And he basically put his best foot forward. And he showed us a potential sign of things to come with how well he played in this one. So I am looking forward to sixth man Gary Trent Jr. I think Gary Trent Jr. is going to do a solid job in that role. Now, next I want to talk about Scotty Barnes because Scotty Barnes looked great. I am so excited about Scotty Barnes and his potential. I really am. I really think Scotty Barnes is about to take that third-year leap, as I'm sure a lot of people believe that as well. Scotty Barnes, 15 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He was aggressive, attacking the basket. His passing, his playmaking was good. I know he had a couple of passes that weren't the best of passes. He tried a long bounce pass that got intercepted, but Scotty Barnes, he looked like a man on a mission. He looked like he meant business from start to finish. I love that he was getting to the basket, getting downhill. And if the three starts to fall more consistently for Scotty Barnes, if that jumper starts to fall more consistently for Scotty Barnes, I mean, the best is yet to come for Scotty. And I really think, I'm just trying to pull up the stats here. His shooting numbers. I really think the Raptors need to give Scotty Barnes the keys this season because it's his time to shine. So Scotty Barnes was actually 5-9 from the field, which is solid. 0-2 from three. He shot a couple three balls. If that three ball starts to fall, watch out. Because if Barnes can start to hit that three ball, he already showed us that his efficiency can be there. The all-around numbers. We did see point Scotty in this one when Dennis Schroder went to the bench. Scotty Barnes became the team's point guard running the offense. And I loved how as soon as Scotty Barnes got a rebound, he was looking to attack. He was looking to press. A couple of times I can remember at the top of my head, Barnes gets the rebound, goes downhill, makes a quick pass, finding his teammate for the finish. And that's what Scotty can do. He's got great basketball IQ. He said that he's been working on his conditioning in the summer as he is going to handle the ball a whole ton. And we saw that ball handling in this game. Scotty Barnes, I think, is about to have a very special season for the Raptors. And I think Scotty Barnes is going to be that guy who determines a lot of how far the Raptors go. I've said this in countless videos, whether it's on this channel, my personal channel. The Raptors will go as far as Scotty Barnes takes them. And you saw glimpses of this being Scotty Barnes' team with the way he was able to operate, finding his teammates and just attacking the basket and finding his offense, which, by the way, I want to see a whole ton more. I want to see Scotty Barnes be aggressive, be selfish even in some instances, and look to find his offense. Now, there's some things that Scotty needs to clean up. There's sometimes where, Scotty Barnes tries to do a little bit too much. And we see this sometimes with the flashy passes. He tries to, make those long bounce passes, the no looks, the one-handed passes. If he can cut down on that, I mean, Scotty is going to be a very, very good player for the Raptors in year 3. So I liked what I saw from Gary Trent Jr. for starters and Scotty Barnes. Welcome everybody who's joining the live stream. If you got any questions, comments, just leave them in the chat. As Thunder Production says, Scotty with more aggression. It's Scotty's team now. Yeah, I just finished saying that. I agree. I do think it is Scotty Barnes' team. And overall, I mean, the Raptors just looked a lot better in this one. They were able to, run the floor better. We saw better spacing, better cutting, better sharing of the basketball. Like, we finally saw team basketball. We finally saw the extra pass, guys getting involved. The Raptors racked up the assists in this one. How many assists did they finish with in this one? The Raptors finished with 30 assists. Like, the Raptors actually looked like they enjoyed playing basketball in this one, which is something that we haven't said in a very long time. Guys getting involved, finding teammates, finding the open man, hitting shots. And the Raptors shot it well from the field, but they didn't particularly shoot it well from three. They're only 34.5% from three. So if the ball movement is there, those threes are going to start to fall, I promise you. When you look at total rebounds, Raptors were without Koloko and Precious Achiuwa. Hopefully they can have those guys come back soon. A rebound to the Kings, 48-34. Like I said, 30 assists. The Raptors, 13 steals. The turnovers were high. They got to limit that. They had 29 turnovers. Points in the paint, 52. And the Raptors shot it well from the field. And you know what? Like, I know Sacramento didn't really play their starters their whole time. We didn't see much of Fox and Sabonis, especially in that second half. They played 60 minutes each. But you got to credit, the Raptors stifling the Kings too. Like, the Kings couldn't buy a shot. Nothing was easy for the Kings in this one. The Kings shot 39% from the field. They were abysmal, 22% from three. So I just felt like the Raptors' energy level, the effort was there, and this actually looked like a team that had fun playing basketball. And we haven't seen that in a while. So, I mean, I really didn't have any negatives from what I saw. I mean, you want to just continue to roll down the list here. Jakob Poeltl, he missed some shots. He had 5 rebounds, 4 points. OG Anunoby had 14 points. I think he's another guy that can take a leap this season in terms of his offense, have a little bit of an offensive outburst, a guy who's able to shoot threes. Because let's call it for what it is. OG is going to be the best shooter in that starting lineup when the Raptors roll out that lineup that they did. So there's going to be a lot of emphasis for OG to hit the three, hit his shots, because it's him and Gary Trent Jr. who are going to be the consistent shooters, I feel like, on this team. Pascal Siakam, he only had 8 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. I mean, I don't think he was, trying to find his offense too much tonight. He didn't take a whole ton of shots. And, it's going to be interesting to see, how Siakam is going to play with Scotty Barnes, especially if Scotty Barnes is able to take a third-year leap. And then, like I said, Scotty had 15 points. Dennis Schroder had 6 points. I believe he hit a 3. Yeah, he was 1 of 3. And what I will say about Dennis Schroder is it's a breath of fresh air watching Dennis Schroder. And just, the speed that he has. Let me just send out this tweet, guys. We're live here on the post-game show. Yeah, I just sent out a tweet. Come hang out on the Live Raptors post-game show. Tweet that out, guys. You can follow me on Twitter, by the way, at Luca Rosano3. So what I was saying was Dennis Schroder, his speed is a breath of fresh air, because the thing with Fred's a tremendous offensive player. He's a better offensive player than Schroder, but you could tell Schroeder's a hell of a lot more quick. And when you got a guy like Schroder who's able to push the tempo and, get downhill, and we saw it on countless occasions. I think the pick and roll with he and Pirtle is going to be solid. And Schroder is a guy who's able to put his head down and attack. We didn't see Schroder necessarily look for his offense tonight and, be aggressive in getting to the rim. Obviously, this was his first game and trying to get well equipped with Darko's offense. But I think Schroeder's speed is going to be something that really benefits the Raptors. So that's something to look out for as Dennis Schroder gets well equipped with the Raptors as their starting point guard, as it is assumed that Schroder does have that role now moving forward. And then the bench was solid. And I did a video on this separately saying that the Raptors bench is going to be solid this season. I hope this is a sign of things to come, because beyond Gary Trent Jr.'s 22 points, Chris Boucher had double digits, 11. Jalen McDaniels had 11. I have high hopes for him. McDaniels came out hitting his first 2 shots, and this is a guy who fell out of Philly's rotation in the playoffs. He has a chance of being a steal of a signing based on what the Raptors got him at, because that was a value signing. And you look at what McDaniels can do on both ends. I really like McDaniels' game. Thad Young got 15 minutes. Grady Dick, we finally saw him. I think it was towards the end of the third quarter, opening fourth quarter. And it was crazy because this was one of the most memorable moments of the game, was when the crowd was literally chanting, "We want," I can't even say it or else YouTube's going to censor me, but you know what I'm getting at here. And the crowd was literally celebrating, cheering every time Grady Dick touched the basketball. And Grady, he hit a couple of shots early on. Then, he did miss some shots. He was able to splash in a 3. But it's going to take time for Grady to just, find his footing. I feel like he did rush some shots when he made his first 2. Maybe he had some jitters. Obviously, this is his first NBA game. I know it's the preseason, but Grady Dick, this is new for him, playing in front of the crowd, of that magnitude. Obviously, there's some crazy crowds in college in Kansas, but, first game reps with an NBA team. You could tell he looked maybe a little bit nervous, but I have no doubt in my mind Grady Dick is going to be able to come in, space the floor, hit shots, and hopefully he is a staple of the rotation. And Malachi Flynn even got some minutes, and that's how you know you're in a new era of Raptors basketball, because we saw a handful of players in the matter of minutes, and Malachi Flynn was one of them. Obviously, Malachi Flynn was one of those players who was basically blacklisted, it seemed, by Nick Nurse, who didn't play a whole ton. Malachi, he had 5 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. I do think he needs to be better, especially if he wants to earn Darko Riakovic's trust and get more minutes. Flynn was pretty bad from the field, 1 of 6. So I said that this was going to be Malachi Flynn's last chance to prove himself. with the Raptors and keep his spot here. And he's going to have to shoot the ball a lot better in order to do that because they need Flynn, obviously, to come in, eat up some minutes, but they need him to be able to hit shots because if he doesn't, he becomes a liability. So, that was my takeaway from Flynn. Gay, he had 7 points. He had an emphatic dunk. That was fun to see. And then Garrett Temple saw 12 minutes. Marquise Noel, another one of those guys, he did struggle in the minutes that he was given. A couple of bad decisions, 8 minutes, 0 points. And that's a guy too, who's going to have to hit shots if he wants to crack some time. But it is expected that Noel is going to get most of his minutes in 905. But it was nice to see Noel get some NBA minutes here. Freeman got 8 minutes. And yeah, that was basically all the Raptors that saw time. So Darko, he did have his rotations going. We did see some guys that we weren't used to getting a whole ton of minutes, getting minutes. Gary Trent Jr. was a sixth man. Boucher followed him. McDaniels, he had a solid outing. He's going to be getting a lot of minutes, you would think, from off the bench. Like I said, Flynn, in order for him to keep his minutes, he's going to have to hit his shots. And then hopefully Grady Dick can, come into his own and be a big rotation piece. I think he can, especially when you put him in lineups with like Barnes and Siakam. I think Grady Dick can thrive in that environment. But all in all, I mean, yeah, like I said, like no real big negatives. It was good to see the Raptors play as well as they did and just come out feeling good, playing good. You could tell the team was having fun, smiles from the guys, everybody touching the basketball, making the extra pass, getting guys involved. I mean, if that happens, the vibes are in fact going to be back. And it's going to take time to get well adjusted to Darko's defense. There were some lapses defensively early on, especially in that first quarter. But I mean, I think for the most part, the Raptors cleaned it up. The offense looks sharp for the most part. Obviously Darko implements that half a second type offense where, he wants the ball to be moved around, doesn't want guys holding on to it, quick decisions, quick passes. Are you going to shoot? Are you going to find the other guy? And I mean, if that happens and there's quick decisions, quick passes, quick plays being made all the time, I mean, the Raptors are going to really do a good job of alleviating the pressure. And, they won't look stagnant. And I think that's another big takeaway from what we saw in this first preseason game. The Raptors offense didn't hit those walls that we saw so many times last season, where the offense would go cold, offense would go stagnant, and then all of a sudden the other team is making a run. So I think the Raptors did a solid job. And for those, people who are going to say that the preseason doesn't mean a whole ton, in theory it doesn't. But what I will say is this. I don't remember their preseason record last year, but I don't remember it being any good. And I remember the Raptors did play bad last preseason, particularly shooting the basketball. And they played bad last preseason, and not a lot of people bat an eye. And then what happened? The Raptors went on to have a very disappointing regular season. So it is very important for the Raptors to show up in these preseason games, play as well as they did tonight, and really carry that momentum into the start of the season, because the start of the season is going to be tough for the Raptors. They're starting their season by playing some teams that are going to, be expected to be in the playoffs. And their first couple of games in particular are going to be a grind. So they have to take these preseason games seriously. They got to work out the kinks. They're going to have 3 more times to do that. They got a game next Sunday. Then they got Chicago on October 17th and Washington October 20th. And then the real thing begins, of course, October 25th against the Minnesota Timberwolves. So the Raptors want to develop these good habits. They want to get into rhythm. They want to get well adjusted because it is going to go a long way. So Toronto 416 says, Luca, do you think we're going to make the playoffs? So I did do my predictions. I don't think the Raptors are going to fall out of the play-in tournament. I have the Raptors in that 7 to 10 range. I'm leaning more towards 7. I mean, again, I'm not going to overreact to preseason, but the Raptors looked very, very good tonight. And if they can play like this, they have a chance to surprise a lot of people. So Toronto Yardy says Raptors finishing 5th. Ooh, that would be really good if the Raptors are able to finish 5th. But appreciate everybody watching. We got 10 of y'all in here. Hit a like, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't new. Again, I will be doing all of my post-game videos here on this channel. So you definitely want to make sure you are subscribed. You want to make sure post noties are turned on. You definitely don't want to miss any of the action. Subscribe, hit a like, and yeah, I'll just open the floor to some questions here as we conclude our first preseason post game as the Raptors beat the Sacramento Kings in convincing fashion. I mean, the final score is a lot closer than how this game really felt because this was an onslaught. This was a blowout. The Kings looked lifeless in this one. The Kings never had a chance, and this was literally the Raptors throughout. So it was really good to have that one-sided game because the Raptors just busted this game open in that second quarter. It was close. First quarter, 35-35. You thought this was going to be an old-fashioned shootout. Not a lot of defense played. But second quarter, Raptors stifled the Kings, buckled down. Kings only scored 20. Raptors exploded with 34. And then it was basically the Raptors the rest of the way. And the Raptors just had fun with it. Like I said, from guys like Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby. This was a no doubt about them type of win. And hopefully the Raptors can have these types of wins in the regular season, making Raptors fans' lives a little less stressful. So, but yeah, like I said, guys, we are going to stay live for a little bit longer. If you have any questions, comments, let it be heard in the chat. Raptors Nation YouTube channel. The Raptors Nation pod is every Thursday, and that is when I just do a solo show. That is not live, but basically a solo show just reacting to the week's worth of events. And then I try to get at least 2 to 3 videos up a week on this channel. So if you guys can help us grow, hit a like and subscribe. That would be awesome. Grady needs to be in the rotation. Yeah, I think he will. And I'm not sure why it took long enough to get him in. Maybe that was the Raptors' way of punishing him. Or I think that's what Grange said, Michael Grange. I thought that was funny. He's like, I think he said that was the Raptors' way of punishing him for his suit on draft day. But I think Dick is going to be able to get into the rotation. And like I said, I thought he rushed a couple of his shots. That could just come from him being nervous. It was his first game. Let's cut him some slack here. But his shot did look smooth, especially on the ones that he made. So I still am a big believer in Grady Dick, and I think he's going to do exactly what the Raptors need him to do. Come in, space the floor, hit shots. McDaniel seems legit, says Flavius Films. Shout out to you for being in here. Man, I am a big fan of McDaniels, and I really hope he can continue to grow in this Raptor system because he's going to get opportunities from off the bench. Because what we saw from this first game, what I'm envisioning is the main guys from off the bench are going to be him, obviously Gary Trent Jr., who's the sixth man, Chris Boucher, and Precious. And then I think that fifth spot is going to be up for grabs for guys like, I slated in Grady Dick, but that's going to be, that opportunity for guys like Grady Dick, Otto Porter Jr., who we didn't see tonight, Thad Young, Malachi Flynn to fight for that spot. Because Darko already said during media day that he likes to use 10 guys. And I think those are going to be the 4 for sure, especially when Achua comes back. Oh, and by the way, I forgot even about Koloko. Those are going to be the 4 for sure's from off the bench. Gary Trent Jr., McDaniels, Boucher, and Precious when he's healthy. And then, like I said, I think that 5th is going to be up for grabs. And there's going to be guys fighting for minutes. So that is why, a guy like Malachi, you got to be able to hit your shots. And I think it's going to ultimately come down to the guys who can hit their shots. Because if Grady makes the most out of his minutes, I personally slated Grady as that 5th bench guy who's going to consistently get minutes. But like I said, there's going to be a lot of guys vying for that. Even Otto Porter Jr., who, like I said, we didn't see tonight. He's saying he's set to be healthy. That's a guy who can make an impact. So there's going to be minutes that need to be earned on this team. Otto Porter Jr., I mean, last time I checked from Josh Lewinberg, he said that, he was doing a lot better. I think he just didn't get minutes tonight. he doesn't seem like he's injured. So hopefully we do see him at some point in the preseason. Malachi and Noel were disappointing. Yeah, I just finished talking about Malachi. And like I said, I mean, in order for him to really get consistent minutes this season, because this is his last chance, he's got to hit his shots. And he was really disappointing in terms of his shooting performance, 1 of 5. And Noel, I mean, I'm gonna cut Noel some slack because at the end of the day, like I didn't even think Noel was going to crack main minutes on this roster. I know he said all the right things, but you knew he was going to have to prove himself first with the Raptors 905. And I think that's where Noel's headed. It was nice seeing Noel play here at the NBA level. I'm sure that meant a lot to him. Obviously, he's a pretty bold guy, wears his heart on his sleeve, has high aspirations. He said he's going to be the best Raptors player ever, but he still has a long way to go. And I think he can work out those kinks in 905. So I'm more focused on Malachi because Malachi, this is going to be another season with the Raptors. This isn't his first go around with the Raptors. And I kind of pinpointed this as being Malachi's last chance, as I'm sure a lot of other people would agree. So Malachi is the one who I have more on my radar. Like, okay, like we got to see you do something here of substance because, I mean, time's running out. Predict Scotty's stats this season. All right. I hope I'm wrong. But I will say Scotty Barnes will fall just short as being an all-star. I don't think he'll be an all-star this season. Again, I hope I'm wrong. But I can see him flirting with being a borderline all-star. And I'm not good with like predicting stats. I was never one to do it. But what I will say is this. I would love Scotty getting up and over 20 points per game. I know that's a stretch. He averaged around, that 15 mark. But if he could get to like 18, 19 points per game, and even more so than his assist production, rebound production goes up, because I think that's going to, always be there for him. I want to see his shooting numbers go up. I want to see Barnes average close to, or above 50% from the field, have better shooting nights like he had tonight. And I want to see Barnes, I mean, this could be wild, but, well, not really wild, but like Scotty Barnes being a 35% three-point shooter, because I'm just pulling up his stats from last season so I don't get it wrong. 34.8 minutes per game, 15.3 points. So yeah, I want to see Barnes go from 15.3 points to close to 20. So if that's 18, 19, 20, great. Field goal percentage was 45.6% last season. Can that go past 50%? That would be huge. 3-point percentage was 28.1%. Can that be 35%? That would be a huge jump. But hey, I'm shooting for the moon here. Rebounds were 6.6 rebounds last season. Can that bump up to 7, even 8? And then assists 4.8. You would think that's going to go up, especially with Scotty Barnes being more of a playmaker this season, having the ball more in his hands, being point Scotty when Schroder takes a seat. Can that get to 6, 7 assists consistently? So I don't know if I answered your question, but if Scotty Barnes can take leaps and, like little leaps with each stat, like that would be a successful season, in my opinion. So like, I guess if I have to say, I'm being optimistic here, like I'll say 19, 20 points per game, 50% from the field, 34% from 3, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. And if that happens, I mean, that's a really good damn season. Yeah, I mean, if Scotty's averaging 20 points per game, man, the Raptors are going to have a hell of a year. 17, 7, and 6. That's a pretty good prediction. That's being modest, I think. That's being modest. Like a 17, 7, 6, a 19, 8, 7. But yeah, if Scotty can push past 20 or hover 20, that would be awesome. And again, I think, but at the same time, and what I'm interested to see is if Scotty Barnes has this third year leap, will that in any way hinder Siakam's game, because I'm not overreacting to tonight. That's not what I'm doing. But you obviously saw it tonight. Pascal Siakam wasn't really looking for his offense. He had his numbers. He didn't play a whole ton. But can both those guys coexist at a high level together and both get their numbers? That's what I want to see this season. Because what I don't want to happen is one guy goes off, the other guy doesn't go off. Barnes goes off, Siakam doesn't go off. Siakam goes off, Barnes doesn't go off. Because then that's a problem over a large sample size. And we're not going to talk about that tonight. But that is something to look out for, because, one of the biggest questions on court for this season is, can those guys coexist? Scotty was looking off Pascal a couple of times, says Savage. Well, there was one time I can remember at the top of my head. It was Siakam and Scotty. Siakam passed to Scotty, and Scotty, he looked off Pascal, and he just went up with it. So Siakam needs to realize that Scotty's the number one guy. If he accepts that, then well, that's where the problem could lie. Because if Siakam feels like he's the number one guy, I feel like that will hurt Scotty's growth, and then vice versa. And this is why I've been so adamant, and I've gotten a lot of flack of saying this, of, maybe, if this continues to be an issue and this is something to look out for, the Raptors maybe have to entertain some sort of trade if it goes that route. Because Siakam's set to become an unrestricted free agent. And if this proves to be Scotty Barnes' team, the Raptors need to make a decision. But again, we're not overreacting to a preseason game, and there is a world where Siakam and Barnes can coexist and flourish together. And I hope that is the case. And I hope Barnes can take his third-year leap while Siakam can still put up the type of numbers he was putting up last season. Even if it's not all NBA, because that would then put Siakam in the Supermax conversation. But Siakam obviously is going to be expected to put up more numbers than tonight, similar to last season. Hit a like, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are talking Raptors basketball. The preseason is back. Raptors beat the Kings in the preseason opener. Gary Trent Jr. Oh, wow. I just realized I spelled Gary Trent Jr.'s name wrong in the thumbnail. Well, that is a preseason mistake. That's a rookie mistake right there. Let me fix that real quick. But if there's anybody in here who is new, let me know who you are. Hit a like and subscribe. You might know me from my personal channel, Luca Rosano. I just want to reiterate that I will be doing all of my Raptor post games here on this channel, the Raptors Nation, just to keep things all organized. So definitely make sure you are subbed for all things Raptors on this channel. Raptors are victorious in their preseason opener. Let me just change this. I messed up Gary Trent Jr.'s name. All right. And guys, you can check out all of our content here at the Raptors Nation. We got a website, raptorsnation.com. That's where you can find my written work. We're going to have videos uploaded on this channel hosted by me all season long. The Raptors Nation. I joined this team this past summer, and we're going to have a lot of exciting content for all of you. Game reviews. We're going to go live after every single Raptors game, preseason, regular season, hopefully playoffs. We're going to have videos during the week, me breaking down things as they happen, any breaking news that happens. The Raptors Nation podcast is going to be a longer form video that you can find anywhere you get your audio podcast every Thursday. That's when I'm going to be looking at the week that was. I'm going to try to get some special guests, get guys even from Lakers Nation to join me, Sean Davis, Trevor Lane. So we're going to have a lot of fun on this channel, and you might be familiar with Lakers Nation. They are the affiliate of the Raptors Nation. So, yeah, we're looking to have some fun here. And I do appreciate everybody who's on this channel so far. Hit a like and subscribe. Let's try to get to 1,000 before the regular season starts. But all in all, man, I mean, not too much to complain about. And I think that's like very solid because we just had a season that was very forgettable. We had an off season that was very rocky. You know, we didn't know which direction the Raptors were going to take. We still don't know which direction the Raptors are going to take. 1 minute, Siakam was in trade rumors. The next minute, the Raptors are going for Dame. So just to get back to playing basketball, just to get back to the X's and O's on the court and just forget about all the other stuff, like it was just refreshing to see. You can't tell somebody to realize something hasn't happened. Barnes got to show it every day. Do you think Siakam is going to have a bet on yourself season like Fred did last year? I mean, if he wants to get paid, if Siakam wants to get paid, make all NBA, you're going to have to put up some of the best numbers of your career in order to get paid like that. So the Raptors have 3 preseason games left, guys. And we will see if they roll out the same lineup the next game. Odds are they are. And yeah, we'll see if, guys, and the thing is, like, as we roll along here in preseason, more of like the bench guys are going to get opportunities to prove themselves. We are going to see some of the end of bench guys get more minutes. And I'm assuming, the starters are going to get more rest as we get closer to the regular season, as the Raptors are going to ramp it up. It's funny how like the schedule even works, the preseason that is, because the Raptors literally play tonight, first preseason game. Then they're going to have a week off, play their second preseason game a week from tonight, next Sunday. And then they're going to have like 3 games in the span of a week. And then they have their opener 4 or 5 days after that. So Raptors just got to take their rest or take this week off, feel good about what just happened and then move on to the next. And the Raptors will be back in Toronto next Sunday. So I don't know if any of y'all are going to the game, but Raptors will be back at Scotiabank Arena next Sunday. So it'll be good for the fans of Toronto to see their team in action. Paradise Lost. What's going on? Says Luca. Nick Nurse lost today. You know what? Thank you for telling me, because I've been so caught up with the Raptors that I didn't even bother checking any of the other scores. And you are absolutely right. Nick Nurse lost. The Boston Celtics beat the Sixers 114-106. And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned Nick Nurse, because I don't have any ill will against him. He's got his new chapter, his new team in Philadelphia. But I'm excited for Darko. And you can already tell, like, in just some of the clips we've seen online. Again, I'm not going to buy too much into it because we haven't even started the season yet. But from the eye test, from what we've seen, just kind of some of the things that Darko has said, you can tell that, number one, he's actually talking to these players like they're human beings. He's treating them with utmost respect. And the players are gravitating well towards Darko. And that's a beautiful thing. And I feel like that got lost with Nick Nurse. Maybe it was a matter of Nick Nurse, he peaked so soon, right? Like Nick Nurse, he comes in as this coach. All of a sudden, he's winning the championship. Maybe, the ego got to his head. He thought he could coach a different way, because I feel like Nick Nurse came up where he was more like sympathetic, had more relationship with the players. And then as he kind of developed and established himself as being one of the best coaches in the NBA, which I still think he is, then that's when kind of the rift came and egos collided, and certain stars on the certain players, stars on this team didn't see eye to eye with him. But with Darko, it's like that fresh feeling again. 2 entities coming together for the first time, guys wanting to get on each other's good side. You're understanding the other party in this, and I think so far we're seeing that, where there's a great connectability factor between Darko Rajakovic and these players. These players are willing to learn. They're willing to listen. Darko's willing to be there for them, and he's willing to be a player's coach. And I think that's what's something that is going to be interesting to see, because Darko's calling card was being a player development guy, and he is a player development guy. And we saw some of the great things he's been able to do so far in his career, helping the development of a JJJ, who's now a defensive player of the year, helping a Bane, who has turned into a good player. He obviously was instrumental in John Morant's development. So, like, can he come now here? He's already familiar with Dennis Schroder, having coached him in OKC when he was an assistant coach. Can he come here and get the most out of these young guys? And that is the biggest thing to see. And, so far, Scotty looks like he's ready to be great and take that leap. Can Darko help cultivate, a great season from Scotty? Can he help get the most out of Grady Dick, OG Anunoby, Gary Trent Jr.? And it's funny, like, the two guys that stood out tonight, the youngsters, right? Scotty Barnes, Gary Trent Jr., and, that's going to be something that's going to be one of those things you want to monitor throughout the season. But I really just love Darko's demeanor. I love his character. I think he's been saying all the right things. I love how he carries himself, and I just think it's a good marriage so far. And again, we're only one game into this preseason, but the players buy in. Darko knows what he's doing, and he could get very creative. And I think we could see some special things, especially on offense. Yeah, that is a good point as well, not having Fred. And look, I've been on record many times. I said that I was happy that the Raptors didn't get desperate and they did not overpay to bring back Fred. I said this many times on my personal channel. I was team, don't bring back Fred. And the Raptors didn't overpay. They didn't bring back Fred. And we knew automatically that a guy like Scotty Barnes was going to develop because he was going to get more opportunities. He, OG, Gary Trent Jr., those shots have to go somewhere else. So that is something else to look out for, because a lot of media pundits thought that losing Van Vliet was going to instantly make this team the worst thing in the world. But it has a chance to do the opposite. It has a chance to have other guys truly step up and truly relish a bigger role. Yo, what's going on, JD? How you doing? Giovanni, what's going on? Luka doesn't look good for Jeff Dowden, looks like. Yeah, didn't get any minutes tonight. Does Malachi Flynn lose a spot to Jeff Dowden? It'll be interesting to see if, where the minutes go over these last couple of games. Because like I said, I think, the next 3 games are going to be more about the end of the bench, end of the rotation guys versus the starting guys, because we already know kind of who who the starters are going to be, and we know who the main bench guys are going to be. So yeah, we could see, Malachi get some more opportunities. He's got to be better. Are we going to see Dowden? We didn't see Otto Porter Jr. tonight. Nick Nurse is the greatest Raptors coach ever. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to deny that. I mean, he won a championship, the only championship with the Raptors. So, but hey, can Darko win a championship one day? That's I'm sure we're not expecting that in his first season, but which game in the Raptors schedule are you looking forward to the most? I think it's pretty obvious. I'm looking forward to the Fred VanVleet one. Obviously, Fred VanVleet coming back to Scotiabank Arena. That's going to be must-see TV. But actually, you know what? I'm also looking forward to the one that's literally going to happen very soon. And that's the one against Nick Nurse and the Sixers. That's going to be a very exciting game. Nick Nurse returning to Scotiabank. So the word on Otto Porter Jr. as of October 6th, so the other day, I pulled up the tweet from Josh Lewinberg, said that Otto Porter Jr. Sat out of the Raptors open practice at Simon Fraser University as they're ramping him up slowly. So yeah, we probably won't see Otto Porter Jr. because he is, healthy to play. but they're bringing him back slowly. And then he went on to say that, yeah, Precious left groin strain is out, as we knew that. So I think Otto is ready to go, but they're not going to rush him back for, you know, preseason basketball. Where do you think the Raptors will finish in the standings? Okay, so I guess I got to make my prediction now since a couple people asked me. You know what? I've been back and forth about it, and I didn't want to fully come out and say it as of yet, but I always said from the start of the offseason that the Raptors were going to be better than last season. I didn't think them losing Fred was going to negatively impact them. So I did say 7-10. I saw the Raptors, but I'm leaning towards Raptors finishing 7-8. And I do see a world where they get into the 6th spot and get a playoff spot. So I'm there right now. I'm 6-7-8. But most likely, I mean, if I had to just give you a definitive answer as of now, where I see the Raptors finishing, subject to change, I do want to emphasize that. And I probably will make my official prediction sometime this week, but I'll say 7th. I'll say 7th. But hey, if they can get into that 6th spot and avoid the play-in, because after last season, I don't think anybody wants to go through the play-in again. That would be solid. But where do you guys see the Raptors finishing? Where do you see the Raptors finishing? I think I saw 5th place earlier in the stream. But I definitely see a world where the Raptors get into 6th, get into a top 6 spot. I think for sure, obviously, top 2, Bucks, Celtics, any order. I think the Cavaliers are going to be a top 3 team. I don't think the Sixers are going to fall back. I think the whole thing with James Harden's a facade. I think they're going to figure it out. So I have the Sixers in the top 4. I think Miami will be there. You know, they're deeper than last season. I'll give them a top 5 spot, top 6 spot. And then that 6th spot, I thought it would be the Knicks, but hey, the Knicks can fall back. I don't trust Atlanta. So that's the Raptors' opportunity to kind of leapfrog some of those teams and get into that 6th spot. So would not be surprised if the Raptors get 6th. But I'm going to say 7th. I'm going to say 7th. The Knicks will suck this season. It's kind of weird. So every time the Knicks are good, and I realized this last season, it's very, very weird and eerie. Every time the Knicks are good, the Raptors suck. Every time the Raptors are good, the Knicks suck. So something's got to give this season because both of them cannot exist being good. Oh, you saw the Lakers game yesterday. That must have been fun. Against the Warriors. Well, yeah, LeBron didn't play for them, and Reeves was out. But guys, we're going to wrap up this live stream. Any last questions here? Just wanted to do a quick live show here on the Raptors Nation YouTube channel. We got 21 people in here. Appreciate all of you joining me for the first live stream. Again, I want to emphasize I will be going live after every single Raptors game this season, preseason, regular season, hopefully playoffs. If you know me from my personal channel, Luca Rosano, I will be doing all of my Raptors post-game stuff and Raptors content here. But of course, you can still find me doing Raptors stuff on my personal channel. But all the Raptors main post-game stuff is going to be on this channel. So you definitely want to follow this channel for all things Raptors and post-game recaps. And I'll be going live for the post-game show. So we will be going live after every single post-game as we did tonight. Make sure you hit a like on the video. It helps it a ton. And go and follow me on X at Luca Rosano 3. So yeah, we're gonna have Raptors preseason game number 2 next Sunday. So we got some time to sit with this one, digest a little bit, overreact if we may. And I'm sure there will be a lot of overreacting to what we saw. But you know what? I think we deserve it collectively as fans because it was a very rocky last season. It was a very uncertain offseason. And I think we deserve this. A little preseason gift from the basketball gods. Raptors playing very, very solid. So couldn't have asked for a better Raptors preseason opener. Again, the Raptors victorious against the Sacramento Kings. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the most important stat of the night. And it took me 50 minutes into this live stream to remember. My bad. The most important stat of the night. The Raptors are 6-0, a perfect 6-0 in Vancouver. Vancouver is the Raptors' good luck charm. You want to know why? Because Vancouver is a basketball city, and we got to bring the NBA back to Vancouver. Vancouver deserves another NBA team. The Vancouver Grizzlies, bring them back if you have to. So that's how I conclude today's show. The Raptors undefeated in Vancouver. Vancouver was great. Just based on what I saw online, on TV, those fans, they love their basketball. And it was great to see the Raptors deliver another W up there in Vancouver. So that is going to conclude the show. Paradise Lost says, yes, Montreal deserves M18 too. Yeah. Does Darko's defense differ much from Nurse's defensive system? I think it's too early to tell as of now. Do you think Siakam bought into Darko's system? Again, it's way too early. But yeah, that is it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. First live stream, post game on this channel. Hit a like and subscribe for more. That is it for me. This is Lucas signing off. Have yourselves a good night. Raptors win. They are 1-0 in the preseason, and they look to make it 2-0 next Sunday. I'll be back here live for that. Have a good night, everybody. Till next time, stay safe.